Hey, everybody. I want to give you two tips and a book recommendation. So maybe that's three tips. But two tips with regard to your DNRS training in particular. And really, these are aspects of the training that I got. They're not original to me at all, but I got them from Annie Hopper's formula for DNRS. And this just to underscore, too, that I think were particularly important for me. The first one has to do with journaling. And in fact, these videos started out as not something that I intended to share with the public, but rather a way. It was a video journal. I started with a little book, and I would keep track of thoughts and insights as I had them, and there were a lot, especially in those early days. It was all new to me. I was trying to figure it out, and I felt like I was having insights, and it was good, and I wanted to keep track and be able to remember and review if necessary going forward. And for some reason, I can't remember exactly how, that morphed into a video journal, which then morphed into this the videos that I have here that you guys are looking at. In any case, I want to recommend to you, emphasize the importance of journaling for part of your own healing process. I think the more you can reiterate, emphasize, underscore, repeat the insights that you're having, the main one being that your symptoms are not coming from your environment, from mold or chemicals or the food that you're eating. It is a limbic dysfunction. The more you are underscoring that for yourself again and again, and remember, it's not a matter of insight, it's a matter of repetition. You are trained, it's dog training, right? It's your dog brain. Journaling, I think, is a very important tool for you to use by way of just getting that ingrained, deeply ingrained in yourself, to go back when you're feeling a little slump or whatever. There are insights maybe you lose track of. It can get you back in the mood, because presumably when you're writing down an insight, that's a particularly, I don't know, fruitful moment. And so to kind of relive that, I think, is extremely valuable. And by the way, just as an aside, I will say for subscribers to this channel, I never intended this to be a channel. I originally had all my personal little videos that I collected for myself. You've noticed that I don't post a lot. Okay, that's because this really isn't a channel as such. It's a collection of my old journal entries from back when I was doing the DNRS training. All right, so don't expect a lot of updates. The second tip, connected to the journal, has to do with symptom checking, avoiding symptom checking, and breaking the habit of symptom checking. I remember when I thought that I was being made sick from mold, it would frequently happen that I would kind of scan for symptoms, not because I was feeling them. I was just kind of, how does it feel today, right? That sort of thing. And then find that within moments I was starting to feel symptomatic. And that was puzzling. And I think my explanation for myself at the time was I must have felt a kind of rumble, which is what led me to think to symptom check. And then once I was aware, it was more like making myself aware of something that was emerging. Whereas now, with my understanding of how the limbic system works, it's clear as day that what was in fact happening was I had this habit, unhealthy habit, of looking for symptoms, and that was the trigger for the symptoms. All right, that's how the limbic system works. So it's vital for you, this is easier said than done, as with many things that are deeply habituated, but vital for you to break that habit of symptom checking. Ignore the symptoms as much as possible. And okay, one of the reasons I thought about this, I recently stumbled across my old journal, the original little book that I was taking notes in before I switched to the video format. And one of the things I had in there, and I think my first entry was just a list of my symptoms. I was trying to think of all the symptoms that I had experienced. And then I had the page folded over so I couldn't look at it again. And the idea was that's my last time where I go through and enumerate them. And the number of symptoms that I experienced almost immediately, I would say within the first week of doing DNRS, dramatically reduced. Most of them never to return. The ones that lingered took weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to get rid of. And every now and then I still have some murmurs from some of them, but it's just greatly reduced and so forth. But anyway, just the yeah, maybe I've just said it. The importance of trying to break when you find yourself checking for symptoms, if you do as I did, to immediately catch that, stop it, direct your attention to something else, direct your attention to do even a little mini training session in your head, reminding yourself that it's limbic, right? Try to catch the flow of water in those old channels as quickly as you can and begin to divert them as you're trying to dig the trenches and develop new pathways, healthy pathways that don't lead back to those old symptoms, right? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to catch it early, redirect the water, so to speak, the flow. Okay, so those are my two tips for you for now. Lastly, I guess, again, this is a tip of sorts, a book recommendation. The book is by a behavioral psychologist named Wendy Wood, professor at UCLA, and the book is called Good Habits, Bad Habits. So she's a researcher, PhD researcher. This is based on her research on the power of habit, but it's written for a popular audience. So she's a scientist. She knows the studies, but she's managed to present it in a way that's very user-friendly for those of us who are not professional psychologists. The reason I mention this is because even though what she is talking about does not go as deep as the physiological symptoms, the immune system responses that have been habituated into those of us who have suffered from chronic illness, from limbic dysfunction. Nevertheless, I am 100% convinced that it is a matter of habit. Habit is a matter of ingrained neural pathways. These are things that come up through repetition, that become automatic without thinking about them. And this is what is happening to your limbic system when you experience symptoms. It's a matter of habit. You don't think about it as habit, but it's habit. And what you're doing to address it is forming new habits to supplant those old ones. So her book is not about chronic illness, but it is a very fascinating account of the power of habit in our lives. Highly recommend. I would recommend it to anyone, honestly, because habits do play this a massive kind of invisible role in our lives. And I would just say, as an addendum to this recommendation, I've got another video where I suggest stopping your research. That the ways in which you're researching your illness is actually feeding the beast. This sort of research, which helps to support your understanding of what you're doing, deepen your understanding of what you're doing. Research like in reading this book, I think, is a healthy sort of research. Researching, mold and mycotoxins and, VOCs and binders, that sort of research, put all that in the trash, okay? Take it to the street. Forget that you ever did it, is my recommendation there, all right? That falls into the category of symptom scanning, right? That's barking up the wrong tree. It's feeding the beast. Okay, so that's the good research. Wendy Wood, Good Habits, Bad Habits. Okay, that's it. Take care. Be healthy. Bye.